Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to this video response to Anna Astral Lady Tarot, where I'm going to divulge to you whether or not I am a cliche tarot reader. Oh my gosh, this tag has been so much fun and there was no way I was not going to do this one. This is fantastic. I have been called out by so many people's videos, and before I even get into all of mine, quick shout out to Common Hawthorne, who actually specifically mentioned me as one of his own personal cliches. Something about watching my auntie hauls and say yes to the deck and then buying the stuff that I'm carefully trying to not buy or whatever it is. Oh my god, I was laughing so loud. But before I get into all of that, let me go through Anna's original list and share with you my responses to these prompts. So the first one is, you might be a cliche tarot reader if you have more than one copy of the same deck. Now there's a lot of ways to interpret this particular prompt because, let's face it, a lot of us have several Rider-Waite-Smith based decks, but I actually have 3 copies of the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot. I have the Centennial Tarot, which is probably my favorite version of the classic for just like straight up reading with. But then I also have this same deck in a tin, so the exact same Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot. And this is nothing because there are so many different versions of the Rider-Waite-Smith classic deck, like just there's the Pam A and the Pam B, and there's vintage ones, and there's ones with different coloring and all this kind of stuff. But I have 2 of the Centennial, and I also recently got and absolutely love the Reflective Tarot, also by US Games, because it's so shiny. If you missed it, I actually shared this in my birthday tarot haul, but this is fantastic. It's so shiny. It makes me so happy. I've been playing with this deck an awful lot just because it's so pretty. So I kind of get it. People might want to have more than one copy of a particular deck. But particularly, I really like this Reflective Tarot for just fun. But for classic, I love this one. And yeah, I have 2 of just this particular one in 2 different sizes. I also just realized I also have a full size and a mini copy of the... Oh my gosh, I've done this a few times. I have a full size and a mini of the Way of the Panda Tarot. So I have the Way of the Panda Tarot and the Baby Pandas, which I should have brought to show but didn't. I also have a full size Dreams of Gaia Tarot and a pocket size Dreams of Gaia Tarot and a full size Everyday Witch Tarot and a mini size Everyday Witch Tarot. I might have a problem. That might be a whole other video though. So the next prompt is, do I own any backups of decks? So technically this answer is yes, because I do have a second copy, full-size copy of the Osho Zen Tarot, which was my very first deck. But I only ended up with that copy because somebody in my neighborhood was selling one secondhand and I wanted to get my hands on the original full-sized guidebook from my version of that deck. So I picked it up so that I could get the book, and the deck itself is just kind of tucked away in a drawer, and I suppose it could be a backup if I ever wanted to retrim it or just have a full size. I very rarely use that deck on an ongoing basis anymore, so I don't see myself wanting to like slot in a backup. And actually I have some feels about backups in general for my own personal practice, and I think that is that in general, I feel like if I have loved the deck so much that I have completely trashed it, then I probably want the trashed copy because it will be so special to me at that point. That's kind of how I feel about my Soul Cards deck, which is a combined Soul Cards 1 and Soul Cards 2 decks by Deborah Cove Chopin. That mega deck has been so well loved and is beat up around the edges, and I love it for that. It makes it extra special. I will say I am mildly tempted to get a backup of the This Might Hurt Tarot with the pearlized edges because I have the black holographic edges and my deck is starting to tear in some places because I use that deck an awful lot. So I'm tempted to get a backup of that one, but I haven't yet. So I've never so far purposefully bought a backup, but I have thought about it. I've definitely thought about it. So the next prompt was tea with tarot. Okay, so there's a whole lot of mixed opinions on this one from the VRs that I saw, which was super great. A lot of us are coffee drinkers, a lot of us are tea drinkers, and some of us are both. And I definitely fall into the both category. I would say that 9 times out of 10, when I'm reading tarot, I'm either sipping tea or I'm sipping a cold beverage, but it's summertime. So like, my answer to this is different seasonally. Like in the summertime, I'm going to be drinking like a cold bubbly beverage from my What is the thing that makes the beverage? SodaStream. I'll be drinking a SodaStream beverage. Or a soda, or an iced coffee, or something like that. But or an iced tea. But in the wintertime, I'm mostly going to have coffee or tea. And it can completely vary. So like really I'm just non-committal on this particular answer. But I completely get that it is completely cliche for a lot of us to actually be tea appreciative, whether or not we drink it with every single reading. But I do really enjoy tea, and I really enjoy varieties of teas. I am not a black tea drinker. I am a like fancy schmancy random flavor. The last tea I remember drinking was called Jumpy Monkey or something like that, and it's called like coffee and tea. It was sent to me, and it's delicious, and it's really good, and it's kind of like a stand-in for coffee. Yeah, it's really good. I'm gonna stop babbling about tea now, but I like tea. I like tea. I guess I'm a cliche. Okay, crystals. Yes. So much yes. So many yeses. I have many crystals, and I love pairing them with my tarot readings. If you've ever had a client reading for me, then you know that I always pick out a crystal or two to accompany that reading based on its energy or how I think it will help me hold the focus for that particular question and situation. I love pairing crystals with my readings. I haven't always, but I haven't always paired them like specific different types, but I have certainly always had at least one crystal somewhere in the vicinity of where my tarot cards live. And in fact, I have one crystal in particular that I've had since before I started reading tarot. So technically, crystals predate tarot for me. Technically. Tarot books. Also yes. Yes, absolutely. I want to know what tarot reader doesn't have any tarot books. This may or may not have come up in the 3 Fat Readers discussion on tarot books. If you haven't seen that particular video, Danny of Danny Mystic, Dustin of Modern Metaphysica, and I, we get together once a month for 3 Fat Readers. It's our collab channel. We have an absolute blast. And our previous episode, which was the June episode, was all about tarot books. Mostly. We got there in the end. We had some really like interesting conversations before we got there, but then we got there, and boy did we get there. But I feel like books are necessary, at least to have read them, whether or not you keep them. And of course there's all the books that come with all of the many decks. So I have guidebooks, and I have reference books, and I have study books, and I have like books of appreciation of tarot. I have tarot books. Yes, definitely. Yes. So the next prompt is, oh, of course, love to shuffle. Me? No, what are you talking about? I don't shuffle mindlessly while watching TV, annoying everybody that might be sitting around me. Why would I do that? Our son, before he moved out, he was like sitting on the couch next to me, and I was just like, we were like watching a movie, and I'm just like shuffling my cards. And I'm not going to do a reading. I'm not about to use them for any purpose whatsoever. I don't even understand why I had a deck next to me at that particular moment, and I started shuffling, and you should have seen the side eye he gave me. He's just like, what are you doing? All the time. All the time. Fairy lights. I had some fairy lights, but to be completely honest, I like to sleep when it's really dark. The fairy lights would have definitely been in this room, which is where I both read tarot and also sleep. So I would have had to turn them on and then turn them off again when I go to sleep, and I'm way too lazy for that because they all seem to operate on battery packs. I love them. I'm just too lazy for them, basically. So a cliche tarot reader apparently never runs out of candles. I mean, the horror of the idea that I might run out of candles. It's frightening. No, I will not be running out of candles ever, forever and ever. I have a stockpile. I have backups of my backups. I have different kinds of candles that I like to use in different kinds of containers or for different types of settings. I have my pillar candles and my beeswax candles. I have jar candles. I love candles. I love candles. And I can't remember the last time I filmed any kind of top-down video for this channel where there was not a candle burning. I also don't think I've ever done a client reading without a candle on the table, visible at all times, because
fire is amazing.
I do have a dedicated space for reading. I have my reading table, which is freaking fabulous. It is a liftgate table. I should have filmed it because the top actually does drop down if I need more space in my room, which in my opinion is the absolute best situation for a reading table. There is also another really, really awesome thing to have for a reading table is like one of those old-fashioned like roll top desks. That would be awesome. I don't know if it'd have enough space for me, but liftgate tables or lift top tables, whatever you call them, those are the best. Gate leg, not liftgate, gate leg tables, because they get really small and compact, but then you get this nice big tabletop when you need it. It's excellent. And mine has storage underneath. So I have this like spot on top where all of my stuff kind of lives, but the actual full open tabletop space is just available for me to lay out readings on. And I have a really beautiful tarot quilt that Peggy made me a long time ago that lives on there pretty much permanently. I sometimes cover it up with other cloths to sort of change the vibe, but I always have that tarot quilt on my table. It is essential. Someday I'm going to beg her to make me another one, but this one is so perfect, and it's already got like tiny little burn marks from incense and candle bits that have flown into it, and it's just, it's perfect and glorious, and I love it so much. It's technically a blanket, because that's how it was made. It's to be like a quilt, but oh my God, I love it. I love it. I love it. Anyways, that was a different question, but we'll get there. We'll get there. So I wrote down some of the prompts that other people have added. I think I've written down who had which prompt, but I know that Jason, who's Tarot by the Pines, added bags and cloths and very like adorably shouted out Peggy's stuff, which is amazing. I, as it will come as no surprise to anybody, am obviously completely addicted to tarot bags. I love them so much. And for me, they actually started out more, I used to use tarot bags only for decks that came in boxes that were like big, like those Llewellyn boxes. And then over time, what happened was I started running out of space, and it was Peggy's idea for me to have this wall system where I could have hooks and I could just put my decks in bags and hang them from the wall. And well, the next thing you know, I have this entire wall storage system that I absolutely love, and it is amazing. I can always see all of my decks, and because every deck has its own unique bag, I always know what deck is in which bag, and it's incredible and it's amazing. In the process, I may have also acquired a great many extra bags and cloths and travel bags and bags that I can put decks in and fold them out into reading cloths and wraps and things that were too beautiful to like let them go, but that I don't necessarily know what deck they go with yet, or they used to go with the deck that I don't have anymore, but I couldn't part with the bag because I am that greedy girl, or like whatever. But I have quite the stash, and I do have to de-stash at some time in the future. And I have mentioned, and I do plan to do a bit of a de-stash for the Unicorn fam at some point, because I need to just pare down a little bit of my collection of reading cloths and bags, particularly because I find that I use those like bags that open up into cloths more than I use like cloths, because it's like a twofer, and I feel like it's like the most efficient way to do it. So definitely bags, definitely cloths. I just wrapped that up into one question, but Jason had added both bags and cloths to the list of tarot cliches. I think the cloths are really super handy, just regular loose cloths, nothing fancy, no bag attached. Those are great if you ever read on location. Like if you take your cards to somebody else's home, or if you take them to public spaces where there might be dirty tables, or you're not really sure you want to put your cards right on whatever surface. Like at home, I have lots of beautiful spaces. I know I can safely lay out my cards, but like on the go, like if I'm at Denny's and I have like a little cloth in my bag, I'm just saying I could pull that little cloth out and then read my cards, and it's great. It's handy, it's useful, it keeps your cards safe. And really, what is this all about? These are all about the ways we can keep our cards safe. Bags, cloths, they just keep our cards safe. Also, I have a bag maker in-house, which just makes it real easy to be hooked on bags. Yeah, I like me some bags. There are 3 prompts that Julie Peekaboo Rose added, and oh my God, Julie had me howling with her response to this. So if you haven't seen Julie's response to Cliche Tarot Readers, or really anybody else's responses, check them out. I'm going to try to have a link to the full playlist. I think there's a playlist. If not, I'll try to link the like YouTube search thing for this playlist, for this responses, because there are so many great ones out there, and they were all absolutely delightful to watch. I've watched a bunch of them. I don't think I commented on all of them. I'm sorry, because I was watching a lot of them while I was doing other things, but I really, really enjoyed hearing everybody's takes on this. Okay, I think the first prompt that Julie added was whether or not you have a tarot travel bag. Yes, I have a tote bag that I take with me. I actually filmed a video a while back about what's in my tarot tote, but this is basically my everyday bag. This goes with me to work. This goes with me to other places I go. Where else do I go? I go to work, I go home. But if I go other places, this also comes with me. And in here, I have all my regular stuff. So I have like, well, I guess I don't have a lot of regular stuff in here. I have like my wallet lives in here usually when I'm like going to work. I also have my, whatever my decks are that I'm working with for the week, I usually have in one of these 2-pocket wrap bags that Peggy makes, because these are the ones that open up into a cloth. So when I'm reading for myself, like at my office or whatever, I can just roll this out and do my reading. I also have some spare like emergency decks. I don't know why, since I almost always have a full-size deck, but I always have a little mini tarot that I can throw into whatever purse I happen to be carrying. And this is the Everyday Witch mini that I was talking about earlier. Look how little it is. It's so cute. And I also, that's the tarot. And then I also have my little mini Lenormand deck that has been living in my purse for years now. It's in a little better bag now, but it is the little Midia Lenormand. Let's see if I can hold this up so you guys can maybe see it. Kind of get an idea. It's kind of a monochromatic, really sweet little mini Lenormand, but it was like the second Lenormand deck I think I ever bought, and I love it. And I love this little mini bag I have for it too. So that lives in my purse. And then also my tarot journal. This was another prompt, and I don't know who added it. Somebody added tarot journal at one point. I'm looking on my notes to see if it says, but I don't see who added it. But I do have my tarot journal. This also usually lives with me in my tarot bag, because this is where I have like a little A6. I have the moon phases, and I keep track of my daily draws in here, and it's freaking great. I have a little photo printer that also usually lives in here, but I left it at work. But I have a little photo printer where I also print out my spreads so that I can make my notes about them every day. And I love this little thing. This thing is like my lifeline to my personal daily, or mostly daily, tarot practice. That lives in there. I have a lot of things in my, I don't know if this counts as a tarot travel bag. I have something else entirely that I do when I'm going to like events to read, or going to read at shops or something. Then I pack a slightly different setup with a bunch of different decks and clouds and crystals and all that kind of stuff. But for like my regular everyday, this counts, right? Doesn't this count? I feel like this counts. And if you just wanted to look at what's in my like one that goes to work, it's usually a tarot deck and an oracle deck and whatever guidebooks go along with them that live in whatever 2-pocket bag I'm using. That's it. That's my tarot tote. And another one that Julie brought up as a classic Cliche tarot reader, particularly I feel like these days, this would not have been Cliche back in the day, but that is tools for modifying tarot decks. And not everybody has these for sure, but I have a guillotine cutter. This particular one, I mean, hands up if you have this specific one, because this is the one that Dawn Michelle of Boho Tarot uses on her channel to modify her deck so beautifully. And I'm sure I am not the only one that like rushed out to buy one of these specific guillotine trimmers after watching how Dawn Michelle does hers. I also forgot to grab, but I have some of those like triangle rulers you can use to like tape onto here so you can keep the cards straight, again, just like Dawn Michelle. Ever since I started modifying my decks that way, my modifications come out so much better and I love it. I also have not one, not two, but 3 different corner rounders. And it all started with this one here, which is like a medium corner rounder, I think. But then I had to get a large corner rounder. And then I was like, well, why not just get one of these like ones that everybody's always talking about? What is this? The Katamaru Pro. This one took forever to come in, but this thing is great because it's got like a small, medium, and large all in one like thingy. This is fantastic. I also have a dedicated bag of markers I've had since the very first deck I ever edged. These are the Color Zendo markers, and they're like copycat. I got these at like Walmart, and they're like double-ended, so they've got like a fine point and a chisel tip, and the chisel tip is the part that matters because I have edged so many decks with these markers. I have them in a ton of colors in this bag, but this is how I initially always edged my decks, was with these markers specifically. So these are not used for anything but edging decks. It's literally what I use them for. They're basically like generic Copic markers, and you can find markers like this like on Amazon, these like generic alcohol-based Copic style markers, but not Copic expensive, if you know what I mean. And these are great for edging decks, but they do get a little groove, and then your like decks might have some wrap around the edge, but they dry so fast. They're kind of foolproof that way for me personally. Love these. I also have an entire bag of little dewdrop ink pads that are also for edging decks. I have like this whole bag full of colors, and I also have like little distress ink pads. I mean, I'm pretty sure I can blame Dawn Michelle for like all of this. All of this stuff is Dawn Michelle's fault. Pretty sure. And I know I'm not the only one, but yeah, so I have little ink pads. I also have extra Sharpies. I have paint markers so that I can gold or silver or bronze metallic edge my decks. And I even have these, I can't remember who first told me about these, but these are, who are these by? I think these are by Prismacolor or Faber-Castell. They're like a Spectrum Noir is what they're called, and they're a glitter pen, and they put this fine glitter on your cards that's actually really hard to see unless they're in natural light, and then they like light up and they're so pretty. But these glitter pens are amazing if you want to add like a little bling to the edges of your cards. I'm a little obsessed. I'm a little obsessed. I haven't modified a deck in a while, and getting all this stuff out makes me want to modify a deck so stinking bad. Yeah, definitely a cliche. And finally, Julie also added the purgatory drawer. This is a drawer or box or bin or someplace we put decks that we are pretty sure are going to be going off to new homes. You guys know I have one of these because I have talked about having one of these a lot on my channel. But I like to have a holding place for decks I think I'm going to want to rehome so that I can think about it and not be so hasty. Because I think another cliche is actually people who have rehomed decks and then rebought them later because they were a little too speedy in getting them out of their collection. And they're like, no, I made a mistake. I need it back. Also a cliche. But I do have a purgatory drawer, as you can see, and it's very full because I've been very lazy about listing my decks anywhere, and I need to go through it at some point and actually decide what's leaving and what's staying, make a video or do something, because I have a lot to rehome. And they should get homes, not just stay in my purgatory drawer forever. I also wanted to add one more thing to this list, particularly for those of us who have larger deck collections and who like bags and things to store their decks in. I also have not one, but two giant bins that I keep all of my empty boxes in because I don't want to get rid of them if there's even a chance I might rehome that deck at some point in the future. So I keep them. The good news is you can flatten your tuck boxes so that they stay really nice, and then you can store a lot of those in a small space. But all the sturdy boxes, they're just space hogs. They're just space hogs. And I do keep my decks in their sturdy boxes when those boxes are the same size as the deck, usually, because then I just put it in a bag in its box, which is my favorite way to do it. But sometimes, Blue Angel, we get decks that come in boxes that are much bigger than the deck for absolutely no explainable reason. Blue Angel. And then we have these boxes that are just like a little too big for the deck, but a little too small to like hold a big full-size guidebook like, you know, Llewellyn with their big giant boxes. And yeah, so my current method is that all the big guidebooks go on my shelf, as well as any of the Blue Angel guidebooks go on my shelf, and their boxes go in storage, and then my decks go in bags. But I would love if Blue Angel would start to put their decks into deck-sized boxes. That would be my personal preference. Everybody's different. I totally get it. But like the fact that the boxes just have your cards sliding around in them, I've never understood why that was a thing. Ever. I've never understood it. Just make the book smaller. Don't make the decks bigger, please. That's not the solution. Just make the books a little smaller. Format them to fit the deck. Put them in a deck-sized box. Other publishers are doing it. They're getting it done. US Games is getting it done. They're coming in beautiful deck-sized boxes with deck-sized guidebooks, and it's perfect, and everything lives together in a bag, and it makes me very, very happy, or on your shelf, and it's great. This has turned into a mega rant, so I'm going to stop now and stop roasting poor Blue Angel, who makes beautiful, stunning, gorgeous decks that I absolutely adore and has the best matte cardstock on the mass market right now. Just so you know, I'm not just roasting them. I do absolutely love what they do, but I just want the box thing to get sorted out. Like, just sort it out at some point, please. Anyway, I think that's it for my cliches. I think that's the only one I added was the empty box storage. Please do check out everybody else's videos in this tag, and thank you so much to Anna Astral Lady Tarot for creating this super fun tag. This has been, like I said, a blast to watch, and I definitely hope to see more of these coming out because it's so much fun. And don't be afraid to add your own. I feel so seen and called out at the same time by all of these cliches that are going around TarotTube right now. So much fun. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this video. I genuinely appreciate you guys spending your time here. This was a lot of fun. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to all the good fun YouTubey things. Thank you so, so much, and may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye, guys.